joining us right now, CNBC senior contributor and host of the Larry Kudlow Show on WMAL, Saturdays at 7 p.m., the one and only Larry Kudlow. Hey, Larry.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I got to ask you, I always like to talk to you about what's going on up there in Gotham and New Jersey. You know, Christie is such a big figure there, and I don't mean that in the way that everyone likes to make fun of his girth. I mean, he is a huge political figure right now and a force to be reckoned with. A lot of people think that he's a potential presidential candidate. So the New Jersey Senate just sent him a bill restricting the size of gun magazines in the state of New Jersey. How is Chris Christie gonna move on this, considering the fact that if he wants to win the Republican nomination, he's got to be seen as being very pro-Second Amendment?
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know how he's going to do, what he's going to do on this. I haven't really seen any speculation. It's funny, I was at the big Manhattan Institute dinner last night. That's our big free market think tank in New York. And
right.
Jeb Bush and Paul Ryan spoke. And it's funny, the buzz in the crowd was much less Christie than it was a year ago. I just want to say that as a political observation. I didn't take a scientific poll, but I just found that the buzz was much less Christie, much more Jeb Bush, and also very positive for Paul Ryan. Ryan and Bush were honored last night, and I'm not going to name names, but one very senior New York editor said he's only got two people on his presidential list right now. One of them's Jeb Bush, and the other one's Paul Ryan. So I thought that was cool. This is a guy that will remain nameless, but you know him, and I thought that was very interesting. So, regarding this gun bill, I don't know how Christie's going to do it. My guess is he'll try to lean pro guns, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Do you think, just out of sort of a side note, do you think Jeb Bush has the fire in his belly? Because he in the past he said he didn't.
Gave a hell of a great speech last night.
Yeah.
I want to just report substantively, his presentation and communication was excellent, and again, Paul Ryan was very good too. I think by a hair, Jeb carried the crowd, but those two guys had a lot to say on the issues, taxes, growth particularly, lots about growth. Jeb made his pitch on immigration. Paul Ryan made his pitch on, Republicans dealing with the poverty questions around the country. And they were extremely well received, extremely well received. These are, I know we don't have many, but these are the conservatives. These are the free market conservatives in New York. The Manhattan Institute is a very powerful, strong organization. Rudy Giuliani was a speaker. There's a lot of notables in that crowd, and those two guys did very well. Just didn't hear much Chris Christie talk.
But with all due respect, Jeb Bush coming across well at a Manhattan dinner might not be the same as getting an Iowa nod. In the heartland of the country, he is not seen as very conservative.
I don't know that. You're right. Iowa is different than New York. That's undisputed.
We can all agree on that.
That one. You got me on that one.
All right.
But I just want to make that point. People will watch Chris Christie's votes, of course, and one thing Chris has, besides the whole Bridgegate business, the Jersey economy is not in great shape. I mean, I happen to be a Chris Christie fan. I'll just say that so you know where I'm coming from. I respect the guy enormously. Jersey economy is not doing very well. He's going to have some trouble with that. Budget and tax policy in New Jersey. Governor Christie withdrew his 10% tax cut on fiscal financial grounds. So it's pretty early in the game for all this. We will see.
All right, I want to ask you about Tim Geithner. He's got a book out. You know. Everybody's talking about this book called Stress Test, and in it, the excerpts that have come out, that Tim Geithner says he was asked to mislead and lie on the Sunday talk shows to downplay Social Security and its part in driving the deficit. Have you heard this report? And I mean, it seems he took great offense to it, and he declined to do it. But it was coming from, of all people, Dan Pfeiffer.
Right.
Yeah. So one wonders if the Secretary of Treasury was being asked to downplay and to mislead on issues having to do with Social Security. What other things might Dan Pfeiffer have asked people to mislead?
Right.
On?
Well, I mean, sure. First of all, it's a stupid thing. I mean, I'm sure it's true. I mean, I know Geithner. I had lunch with him a couple of weeks ago here in town, and I'm sure it's true. And I'm sure it's stupid. And I'm sure that the communications department in this White House tried to do it to other people. And you're probably going to bring up the name of Susan Rice, and I'm sure that part is true also. I just say these briefing, what was it, a briefing session in the Roosevelt Room by a bunch of communication weenies trying to tell the Treasury Secretary, which is one of the senior positions in the cabinet, right? Treasury, State, Defense, and Justice are the four key major positions in the cabinet. So you got a bunch of, 17-year-old communications weenies telling Tim Geithner what to say on TV. And Geithner just basically, according to the reports, which I read, I have not read I just got the book yesterday, but Geithner said, no, I'm not going to say that. Of course he wouldn't say that. He outranks them. He's smarter than they are.
Yeah,
and
but
furthermore, it's a flat-out lie because everybody knows Social Security is contributing to the budget deficit. I don't even think that's an issue.
Well, then the thing is, though, is that this gives you sort of an insight to the way they operate in this administration. Yes. That it's all about the message and not so much about the truth.
You're right. There's always a thing, from my experience, going way back to Reagan. We had all the Sunday talk shows in those days, and guys like me. I was in the under cabinet associate director of the Budget Bureau. I would get questions. Fill out. What factual questions should you say? That was one of my jobs. I had to proofread documents and so forth, and you'd put in your suggestions, this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, the Treasury Secretary is going to be the Treasury Secretary. I mean, can you imagine? Let's go back to the Bush year. Can you imagine some little communications weenie telling Hank Paulson what to say on TV? Okay, the guy's worth, I don't know, a cool $500-600 million. He spent the better part of professional life in finance on Wall Street. The former CEO of Goldman Sachs. And some little weenie is going to tell him what to say about numbers that the Treasury Department itself knows full well. I mean, how silly is that? So, yeah, they tried this sophomoric stuff. I'm sure it had, I'm sure Benghazi was no exception. Right. I'm sure there's probably 100 examples of this kind of nonsense.
All right,
you can't respin a fact, okay? If you have any integrity at all in government, you cannot respin a fact. A fact is a fact. And 800 million people will read that fact. So why would Geithner sacrifice his whole credibility?
His integrity, right. Well,
Larry Kudlow, we got to leave it there. I got to say, though, I think we heard Larry Kudlow say weenie more often than when we did the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on July 4th.
I'm sorry.
If weenie was the drinking word game, we're done.